Well, hey folks, Real Aussie Winter Rentals Rapid Fire episode 72, few wrestling news tidbits to talk about, and a rumored possible return for April's Saudi Arabia show. I'll get into that here in a bit. I mean, you obviously heard, if you pay attention to any news outlets and this kind of stuff and any reports, you have a pretty good idea who I'm going to talk about. But I'll give my thoughts. But first, I'm going to just state once again, I'm just a wrestling fan. I'm not a reporter. I'm not a journalist. I see these things that are reported, talked about, and I give my opinions on them. So I just address rumors and this kind of stuff and say, hey, what's the possibilities? What could happen? Or, oh, what do I think will happen here? And yeah, that's it. I mean, people know how this show works by now. But anyway, my thoughts on Neville's, a.k.a. Pac's return to Dragon Gate. They apparently gave him his big break. I'm not as familiar with the Dragon Gate product. I know it is a promotion that does pretty well. I know it runs a lot of smaller venues, but they have a pretty passionate fan base from my understanding. And Neville got like one of his big first breaks with Dragon Gate. And it was nice that he's able to use his star power to say, hey, come back and work with some of the guys. It could just be a one-off appearance. It could be that he signed a bit of a deal or he is working with them for a little bit. I don't know if he signed a deal. I don't know what his future will be. I know what I want it to be. I want it to be whatever the fuck he wants it. Whatever makes him the happiest. Because he was creatively stifled in WWE. His time as NXT champion is often forgotten about as being a really damn good time in, for the title. He had some great matches. One time he won the title against Bo Dallas, to May's takeover, to September's takeover, and then when he lost it to Sami Zayn. He had plenty of great matches. And Neville really did deserve a lot better than he got on the main roster. Now, he had a great match with Seth Rollins when Seth Rollins, I think, did WWE Open Challenge, WWE Championship Open Challenge, and it looked like Neville was almost about to get the victory, but then the foot on the rope. That kind of stuff. That was a really, really good performance. And Neville deserved a whole bunch better than he got. You, of course, had the unfortunate ankle injury in 2016. They kept him out for most of that year. I think it was about 7 months, something like that. 7-8 months. He then returned, of course, turned heel on Rich Swann, and became Cruiserweight champion and just beat everybody up, just mowed through everybody. He was a great Cruiserweight champion. He wanted to get out of the Cruiserweight division after dropping the title, and they didn't let him. And he also didn't want to lose Enzo, apparently, which I don't blame him. He then, walked out and they froze his contract. Now, he had some dynamite matches with somebody like Austin Aries. So as for his future, he could work with Austin Aries. He could show up at Bound for Glory. Say Aries, I believe Aries is facing John Morrison or Johnny Impact or whatever the heck he's calling himself. John Morrison, by the way, really, really nice guy. He was nice to myself and the Durbinator when we went to a Defy Northwest show. But it's like the Ryan joke of like Johnny insert wrestling promotion here. But if Austin Aries retains, you could have Neville show up. Now he's Pac. He could show up and he could face Austin Aries. Unshackled from WWE's stifling creative process. They could do some really, really good things. However I feel about Impact and a few of the people that work there, they've done a lot of good shit this year. And Neville, even making appearances for them, would just, Pac would really, really help. It's going to take me a while to stop calling him Neville. He can make appearances in New Japan, him working against Omega, Ibushi, him working in Ring of Honor against Cody Rhodes, him teaming with the Young Bucks, him working against Marty Scurll, or teaming with Marty Scurll if you wanted to, have Pac be a heel. But him coming back to Dragon Gate, a promotion that gave him his break, really, really cool. And whatever he is happy with, I hope that he has great success. Honestly, he deserves it. He is a great, great performer, tremendous in the ring. His mic skills are here and there. His as he got more comfortable as a heel Cruiserweight champion, he did a lot better on the mic. And was just as angry, just had the scowl, had just a look down, just looked like a fucking killer. Whether he, no matter his height or anything, the guy looks like he's also been living in the gym for the past year. Now, granted, he was in tremendous shape when he came back from his injury, and still was in great shape when he walked out of WWE. Not that I blame him, for walking out, that is. But he was in such tremendous shape that guy's got a good 10 years with the way he works his style. As long as he stays injury-free, he's going to do tremendously well. So I'd love to see him pop up in the promotions. Like he could do well in Impact, Ring of Honor, New Japan, and others. So it would be really interesting to see what happens. But I'm all for it. This guy's going to do great things. I don't think it's going to like affect WWE, but they will miss out. They did miss out on using a really, really good performer better than they did. And now we go to Psycho Sid's comments on Paige's SmackDown Live GM. This was an interview piece that was leaked earlier, or that was shown earlier. I think it was by the Hannibal TV or Hannibal TV. A good channel, by the way. There's nothing against channel at all. But about Paige's sex tape. He was the interviewer, I didn't catch the guy's name, asked Sid what he thought of Paige being the SmackDown Live GM. And in regards to her sex tape, he says she should have been fired for the sex tape scandal. Just because of all the bad publicity it brought the company, that WWE's business must be hurting if they're willing to look the other way or willing to still keep her on, despite being more family friendly and that kind of stuff. He said some other things and everything. He went into a little bit too much detail about the sex tape. I have not seen that. I'm never going to watch it because that's some fresh bullshit right there. And it was fresh bullshit whoever leaked it. I know it was never found out who leaked it. I have an idea that I'm not going to say here because I don't want to implicate anybody if it turns out not to be them. I will be honest, at first, like when the whole sex tape thing first happened, given all the stuff she was going through at the time, you had a relationship with El Patron. She, she wasn't doing a whole lot of really, really good favor, being in good favor with the company. She had her neck injury and that kind of stuff. It was a really, really bad time for Paige. Thankfully, she has cleaned her life up, gotten rid of El Patron. Whoever was more toxic for the other is irrelevant. It's a bad relationship, need to end. My thoughts on Sid's comments are, he even said he has nothing against her. I get where he was coming from, but just as an outsider looking in, it didn't seem all that great that he said that. However, I don't have as big of a problem with Sid saying it, because at least Sid was in the wrestling business, though he was the same guy that got into a scissors fight with Arn Anderson and promptly got fired from WCW. Justifiably so, by the way. It wouldn't have mattered whether it was Sid or whoever that did that. You start stabbing your fellow wrestlers with scissors, you kind of need to be canned. But this is my whole take on the sex tape thing. The sex tape shouldn't have been made. People make them. It is what it is. There was a time where I might have just continued to blame Paige, People make their jokes and everything and all they want. People make their jokes about Xavier or Paige or this kind of stuff. Paige did go through a whole bunch of shit. She really, really did. In interviews, I believe she had contemplated suicide because of, the backlash and all that stuff and everything after that thing got leaked. And that's understandable. It must have been terribly traumatic for her. The bottom line is this being dredged up. It's like, even though it was like a recent interview, apparently, Sid's comments didn't bother me as much as others, though. I don't think that necessarily this should have been something that he commented on, but he did just give his honest opinion. Now, I will say about El Patron's comments when he took shots at Paige recently, and you could check out his Twitter if you want, if you're not blocked. And I'm not blocked. At least I don't think I am. I had a lot more respect for El Patron. This is where I'm going to get into a bit of an angry rant here, or at least a bit more of like, not too happy. The guy acts like he's all holy and this kind of stuff or whatever. Now, I'm not saying that Paige wasn't bad for him and he wasn't bad for Paige. There apparently were some unstable parts of the relationship. Big shock. I had a feeling that was going to be the case. He takes shots like, that he doesn't, no one should come after his family, that he's happy to be rid of certain people. It's just the way he worded it and everything, where it's like obvious he was taking a shot at Paige and her family, which it turns out that Paige's family really was just looking out for her best interests, or at least seemed to be. He just comes across as a scuzzy individual that, constantly no-shows events, thinks he's a bigger star than he really is, was given the Rocket in WWE a couple times and failed to capitalize. Now, he was over as a heel for a while, but this is the guy who always thought that he was bigger in the mainstream, at least U.S. mainstream, than he ever actually was. His time in Impact wasn't very good. The guy ends up ultimately being pretty much a flop in the U.S. I mean, I'm sorry, you can disagree with me if you'd like, but El Patron's comments bothered me a whole lot more. If they're happy to be rid of each other, that's great, because you shouldn't be in a toxic relationship no matter who you are. No matter whether it's a man, a woman, woman and a man, woman and a woman, man and a man. It is what it is. Well, whatever is your fancy, as long as it's not children, because that's sick. El Patron though just comes across like a douche. It's just like he can't let the shit go. That's really what it is. So that's my comment there on that. So you guys leave in the comments what you guys think of that. Go ahead. But now I'm going to talk about Saudi Arabia stuff. Do not worry. I'm only going to talk about. I'm not going to talk about the Saudi Arabia government, or policies or this kind of stuff. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to talk about this stuff. What I am going to talk about though is the Crown Jewel event apparently got moved to a smaller venue. It was supposed to be in some big stadium to see like 68,000 people, like 68,000 seat capacity. And it got moved to a university arena that seats about 25,000 people. Now, I don't know if tickets went on sale yet. I don't know how tickets work over there in Saudi Arabia, since it's a pretty new thing to bring WWE and bring wrestling over there. Though I know other companies have done, I think Impact even made a shot or two over there in the Middle East, or in Saudi Arabia. I'm not totally sure about the country. Please let me know in the comments. But I know they did it first. I'm not saying here to say otherwise. But moving the Crown Jewel show to a smaller venue, I don't know if the demand was not that high or what the deal was. But here's just my opinion as an outsider looking in. It's not a good thing that already after the Greatest Royal Rumble, which has controversy and this kind of stuff, the women not being able to wrestle there, gay people not being welcome there, and the whole thing of, various talents that have certain religious beliefs that conflict with that aren't allowed over there. Good idea for being all inclusive over there, or when progressive change. There are rules in other countries. I'm just saying, doesn't exactly look so good when you're like, hey, we're going to give you all this money, but you have to keep these people over here. Yeah, we can't have the women wrestle. But anyway, so 25,000 seats over there is actually still pretty good. They're lucky to sell that out for any pay-per-view that isn't the Rumble or Mania, because even SummerSlam at this point would have difficulty selling out stuff. But anyway, my thoughts on it is maybe the demand for wrestling isn't all that high over there. Maybe this deal is going to end up going up in smoke. Shout out that new Patriot 77. I talked to him earlier today about how this could end up, backfiring. Saudi Arabia may realize, hey, after 2020, they aren't going to have any Attitude Era stars or anybody that they can bring in, even after next year. They may not have, there may not be any more old stars they can bring back. Because they don't seem that interested in the current product or in the current roster and everything. It just, to me already, I'm kind of wondering if it is security issues, is it what? I don't know what the deal is, but it's kind of weird that they go to a venue that drops 43,000 seats right there. And this is only the second show. You have to start wondering if this deal's really going to last 10 years or if they're going to want to renegotiate or something like that if it doesn't end up having a positive return for them. Who knows? I don't know what Saudi Arabia's budget is like. I have no damn idea. But it is a little bit odd that it's already gone from nearly 70,000 down to 25,000. That's a bit troubling. But we'll see what happens. Crown Jewel, I think, honest to God, is going to be another glorified house show, but who knows? Could end up being fun. And then apparently Saudi Arabia also, this is rumored, but they want to offer The Rock $20 million to appear as World/Universal Champion at their April show next year. $20 million for one guy. I will say right now, I'm a big fan of The Rock. I love The Rock. I think Rock's one of the greatest of all time. The Rock should not be champion in 2019. The Rock should have been champion in 2013. That was goddamn rotten. That was absolutely fucking ridiculous. He shouldn't have been champion at that point. But now, 6 years later, and that was his last pseudo part-time, full-time run. He's had, what, one match since? And, I mean, that Eric Rowan match actually doesn't even really count, so technically, that was his last match. Was at Mania 29. So now you want to bring him back, like, 6 years later as champion? One, Rock would not be stupid for taking the money. $20 million is nothing to sneeze at, even for how much fucking money that guy is worth and how much money he has made from his movies and from his clothing brand and from just his brand in general. The man is a fucking money machine. Even when his movies don't do that well in the U.S., they do fine overseas and still make some good money. I believe Skyscraper is a good example. Haven't seen Skyscraper yet. Have to see it. Heard it isn't that good. But anyway, let's move on. The Rock would be stupid to turn that money down. If Saudi Arabia wants to spend $20 million on The Rock and not on their own people, I don't know. Good for them. Whatever. It's their money. How am I going to tell them what to spend money on? But if WWE decides to go with this, like, if The Rock agrees to it, all it's going to do for WWE at this point is, in 2019, all it would do is highlight that, yes, they'd be taking the money. Okay, so they would have to do it for Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia is paying them a boatload of cash for every single one of these shows. And paying for a lot of these older stars to come back. It would highlight WWE's creative process. It would highlight the complete lack of faith that they have in a lot of the roster. Even if they did this and it was completely separate from the Saudi Arabia show, why would you want to make, except for money, why would you want to make Rock champion? Why would they want to see Rock as champion? Rock appearing wouldn't be enough? Like, seriously, the last time he was relevant as champion was when he was Undisputed Champion in 2002. And even then, that title reign wasn't all that good. Great triple threat against him and with him, Undertaker, and Kurt Angle at Vengeance 2002. One of the best B pay-per-views of all time, by the way. Or at least of the Ruthless Aggression era. But seriously, Rock appearing as champion. I may not like Roman Reigns, but it would torpedo everything they've been doing with Roman Reigns. Braun Strowman should be champion. He won't be. You got Drew McIntyre. You got a whole bunch, Dean, Seth. You got a whole bunch of guys you could do. And because of money, Rock would be champion. And I'm sorry, this would not go well. It would torpedo everybody. You know, like a lot of the current roster and everything. Which, again, whether I like Roman Reigns or not, the man shows up there every single day. He has worked extremely hard. Still don't find his character that interesting, but he's really trying hard to be the guy. He really is. Personally, I think others are a better choice to be the guy. But that's neither here nor there. I just find it ridiculous that they're willing to throw $20 million at The Rock, who is a global superstar. Movie superstar, wrestling superstar, whatever you want to call him. That man is fucking money. But it just would destroy things creatively, at least for the short term, at least till SummerSlam, if not beyond that. Because it would make the championship, that's already been on a couple part-timers anyway, let's put it on another part-timer, one that hasn't wrestled in 6 years. I mean, granted, they put it on Goldberg, who had barely wrestled, and it had been about 12 years, but still, that was a nostalgia thing, and didn't last very long. I just have a hard time believing that this would be a very good idea, but hey, WWE are in disagreement, so Saudi Arabia is going to pay him that much money, and there we go. And one more thing I want to talk about. No Way Jose. WWE is apparently giving up on No Way Jose. I was at the Raw taping in Seattle, which was a lot of fun. Check out that review, by the way. Myself and the Turbinator had a lot of fun. Our friend Cassie was there. She did not sit in on the review, but that's okay. We all had a lot of fun. The Seattle Sonic, the Sonics skit with Elias and Owens was also tremendous. But they taped main event before, and they had No Way Jose with his conga line versus Mike Kanellis. And Mike Kanellis beat No Way Jose. Apparently WWE, management, creative, whatever, are giving up on No Way Jose. I don't know when they really had that much faith in the guy. They called him up, what was it, earlier this year? Had nothing for him. It's like, some of this shit blends together. I mean, I'm sorry, I can't remember if they called him up last. I don't think they called him up last year, but I think No Way Jose is pretty damn awesome. I saw him live. Myself and Derb saw him live at an NXT house show last year. It was in Seattle. A lot of fun, great energy. The guy's a really, really good athlete. The gimmick is pretty much DOA. It's pretty much Adam Rose 2.0, but No Way Jose is a better athlete. My thing about it is why would they stick people with the dead end gimmick and then expect it to get over? The thing is these kind of gimmicks do not work. It didn't work with Adam Rose, at least for very long. He had a catchy theme, and it was over for a bit, and then it didn't work because people saw through the facade. They didn't build on everything. They haven't built on No Way Jose. The guy's barely been on Raw for months. Really, I think he had a feud with Baron Corbin and went nowhere. They had a feud with Elias and went nowhere. Or maybe I'm just thinking, I'm confusing a lot of these feuds because they really haven't done a whole lot with the guy. I think he is a tremendous talent. The gimmick's dead in the water. He's not WWE or Universal Champion material. He's probably barely booked the way he is, barely IC or US Champion. If they put him in a tag team and a tag team worked, he could be tag team champion. Sorry, they made Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel tag team champions as the B team, and that gimmick was like horrendous. I mean, sorry, it was horrendous. Though credit to both those guys. I like both those guys. I just hate the whole B team thing. But at least they had fun. With No Way Jose, I just have this issue with creative putting characters on people when it obviously isn't going to work. One of the biggest reactions he got was at TakeOver Brooklyn, I believe, 2, where he faced Austin Aries in the opening match. And No Way Jose got a big reaction. I mean, he lost. But he got a big reaction. And that was one of the best matches that he had. The guy is really, really capable in the ring. But yeah, the gimmick's DOA. It's just really sad because I see a great performer there. And you would almost have to retool him. You'd almost have to take him off TV for like 6 months or something like that. Or take him off TV now, have him get injured, this kind of stuff. Have him show back up at the Rumble with a completely different look, like a badass look or something like that. And just have him, beat people up and stuff like that. But other than that, unless it's a complete gimmick change, I don't know what you do. One, you can't turn him heel the way he is. Because they tried it with Adam Rose and it didn't work. But I like No Way Jose. I wish he got better. He got better than he's getting from creative. And I have nothing against Mike Kanellis. Mike Kanellis beating No Way Jose isn't the end of the world, even though they have not booked Mike Kanellis well at all. Because, I'm sorry, he's winning the first match on main event. But yeah, it's sad because No Way Jose, I think, deserves better. Even if, obviously, he's not a main eventer, the guy is a pretty damn good wrestler and deserves better than this. So those are my thoughts on that. So anyway, that's what I have to say. So that's Rapid Fire episode 72. What do you guys think? Are there topics you want me to talk about that I haven't talked about? Maybe I could do one later in the week if I have time. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. It's been Real Aussie with Charm Riddlin, and I will see you soon.